them come. This is their fate.
Birdman hands in there. All right. Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. I am your host, Deontay, here with my near and dear friends, Jalen and Josh. Today we got quite the bit to talk about, coming fresh off that PS5 Pro announcement, so we're going to be talking about that right away. But we got a lot more to talk about as well. Gamepass did launch their new subscription models today. iPhone 16 and all of their Apple goodness there. I don't know about good, but it was something Apple presented. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Got a lot to say. A lot of things. That's just a little variety of topics, but we got some interesting stuff. So before we get started, per usual, Jalen, Josh, tell the people how you been, what you've been up to, what you've been doing, how's life going. Talk to the people. And if you've been playing Overwatch, I guess we just been playing Overwatch. But talk to the people, let them know how your days and your week's been.
Yeah, we've definitely been playing a lot more Overwatch. It seemed like y'all two been on like every day. I've been trying to get on as much as I can every couple days, catch up with y'all, because we usually don't have time to, I guess, play together, and I want to capitalize on that. But yeah, Overwatch has been fun. I mean, I know y'all always say I'm the serious one when it comes to Overwatch and complaining about gameplay and stuff, but I've just been sitting back, kind of just not taking it as seriously and just wanting to have fun with my friends. Mostly because like I haven't played Overwatch like regularly in so long that it's a lot of stuff that I don't actually know. Like I don't know a lot of how people have been balanced or what abilities have different interactions now. Like I know I've seen online like a lot of people talking about how some interactions are giving unexpected results, and I don't know if it's been like a fundamental change with like how Bob interacts with like the capture point, or Venture. If
definitely
you
don't cap that mug no more.
Ground.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff to just catch up on, or just play the game more to like see these interactions that are important, but you don't see them regularly. Like you see it like once every 20 matches or something like that. So, but Overwatch is a fun game. I've been playing a lot more of the characters I haven't touched before. Like, I forget the ball's actual name. Is it Hammond, or is it like in those Wrecking Ball?
I thought it's Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, the hamster is Hammond, I think, and Wrecking Ball is the character.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've been trying to play him. I don't really understand it, but I've seen people be effective with him, so I gotta learn how to swing around the map and stuff. Playing Baptiste, just because Sombra is really oppressive for a lot of healers, and I can't let myself get bullied, so I gotta switch somebody who can actually defend himself. But still, if it's a really, really good Sombra and you're playing a healer, there's not really a whole lot you can do other than wait for her to try to kill you, run away, and then come back again. So you just gotta be on the lookout for her. Other than that, not too many new games for me to be playing. I've been looking at a lot of selling a lot of old hardware that I'm not using. For example, I was sitting on the Vita TV that I've had for like the last few years that I probably turned on once.
The Vita TV, I forgot all about that thing.
Yeah, I put it up online to sell, and I actually sold it for a good amount, like 100 and...
Jeez.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think of the conversion, but it was a little over $100 that I sold it for, just because somebody wanted it. Yeah, and it was I was gonna throw it away. And yeah, just I sold my PS5 a few weeks ago, and I was thinking about my Steam Deck because again I haven't touched it in a while, but I booted it up and I've been looking at some use cases for it, and I've kind of set it up right now temporarily with like a Bluetooth controller, and it's plugged into like a monitor on its own, and I might be able to just use it as like a dock system.
Yeah.
Because a couple months ago I got a Windows 11 handheld that's OLED, and it's small, and I've mostly been using that for all my streaming or PC, like lightweight PC gaming, and
Yeah.
it's been like a good experience. And I only use it at home, so I really haven't had a need for the Steam Deck. But it's still like a really good device, and it's also like my only Linux device now, and I think that that on its own has its own value. So I'm a try to hold on to it, start using it more. In that sense, it is just, I guess, working full time and being a dad. It kind of fell out of my lifestyle, but I still think it's like the best value for like, especially the base model. Like between $400 or $500 is the best device you can get. Uh,
Oh, 100%. So it's
yeah,
cool. It's really, really good there. And I think that is truly one of those value adds, even if you can't get that much use out of it now. So repurposing it might be the best way to go.
yeah.
But
And as
oh,
far as like other devices, so I've been looking at ways to play some older games that I have, like PS1, but I don't know how I want to play them because, again, like I said, I don't want to play them on my Steam Deck because I don't want to bring it with me. But like, let's say I'm at work, I got 10, 15 minutes, maybe I play a PS1 game. Not gonna do it on my Steam Deck because I'm not gonna bring it. My Windows 11 handheld is a good device, but the battery life is not that great. So I don't want to bring it out. And my problem is that I kind of don't like playing like classic games or emulators on like a Windows device, because if you think about it, you on your break, you boot up the device and you at the Windows home menu, desktop.
mm-hmm.
Um, so you gotta be using the mouse to get around. You gotta, if you have to fiddle with settings, it's kind of annoying. But also, if your device battery is low, you kind of want to turn it off or charge it because it's Windows and it's going to force you into an update, and you don't want it to die while it's doing the update that you couldn't stop.
Yeah,
Even though I said no, I don't want you to update. Yeah, so that's a whole headache on its own. So I stopped bringing that device out because of that situation. Like, I remember when we went to Hawaii a couple months ago, I was on the plane coming back, and it like I turned it on. It was like, okay, update starting. Don't turn off your device. I'm like, why would this even happen? Now I mean, luckily it finished the update. It didn't take too long, but it's like you just wasted a whole bunch of my battery and my time. And like, what if my battery was low? And you know,
yeah.
so anyways, I've been looking at my options. I still got my Vita, and I tried using the Vita, and I don't like the Vita, and I don't know why. Like, it should be a great device for that type of use case, but just the menus and like it has like a really old Wi-Fi chip in it, so you can't even really get good speeds on it.
Yeah.
Um, it's lacking a lot of like basic system settings. Like, I'm trying to control the brightness, and the brightness has a slider, but it doesn't have a big range between the lowest setting and the high setting. So it's like it's not even really useful to bump
Yeah.
up the brightness if you can't see. And so yeah, just overall, I tried playing out some Vita games as well. It's like now I remember why the Vita didn't do well, is because most of these Vita games are not even good. They're kind
Yeah.
of like a worse version of other games that have come out. So I'm probably gonna sell this thing too and pick up another device that's Android based that seems really good.
Okay.
It's called the Odin 2, and that seems like on the higher end of Android gaming. But it's a handheld, smaller than the Steam Deck, like a 20-hour battery. Um, so I will report on that, I guess, once it's delivered. Hopefully by next week. But yeah, Vita. I guess I was disappointed. I thought I would. I held on to it because I thought I would have more use out of it, but actually playing the device, I don't like it.
No, that's fair. I think that
And plus, the sticks on it are trash.
terrible. the real killer for me was the was the sticks and the way they moved. I was like, I can't get with this. So if it wasn't Persona, I wasn't really playing nothing on it. So it really didn't get that much value out of it, but it's just that piece of technology that I felt like was ahead of its time. So I probably would never get rid of it, but I don't use it ever. So it is what it is. But I like the concept of it at the time it came out. It was way above its time, and it would put pretty much a lot of stuff to shame today if it would even come out with the same specs in regards to like value versus like the abilities, what it can do. But again, PlayStation didn't really support it because it didn't get the support from buyers because it was expensive. So it's tough. It's tough. But okay, anything else?
No, I guess since you mentioned PlayStation, we ain't gonna go into it, but that kind of reminds me. I feel like PlayStation kind of half-asses their hardware launches, where it has a lot of potential, but it never lives up to it. At least for peripherals or like non, home console stuff. And that's where I just felt like the Vita was. It good device, didn't get the support it needed and kind of died. And we see that with PlayStation VR all the time, and every time they put out extra stuff, uh,
Yeah.
which that's just Sony at this point.
Yeah, they want to be Apple. They want to be something. I don't know what they want to be to be honest, but smart. I don't think is one of them. But we'll talk about it. Jalen, what you been up to? What you been doing? How's life going?
Life smooth. I was trying to get Deontay to do a 5K.
Man,
Trying to get me a
look
pushback.
at
Maybe
I
I
ain't
can
trying, I ain't trying to bring it to the. I ain't trying to bring it to the world. Listen, I already told you my answer in the chat. G.
Yeah, if I ain't convinced Deontay to do it, I might have a reward for y'all enter in these sweepstakes.
Refer to the chat. Win. Refer to the text. G. Nah, I thought about it, and I keep thinking about it. That's what I'll say. It's a little ways away, so I'm thinking on it, y'all. That's all that is. That's
everybody entering, they get enter a sweepstakes to try to get Deontay. Might have a beater for y'all to win. Maybe have a little sweepstakes going on.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, everything been smooth. I've been doing. I did a 10K. I was trying to, y'all can laugh at me, but my goal was to beat under 50, or my goal was to beat under 55 minutes. I actually did better than what I had shot for originally. My boy had told me he was trying to do under 50 minutes. I was like, man, I can do that too, bro. So I got under 50 minutes. So I ain't beat this time. He been training and stuff for a while, but I was able to get under 50 minutes. So that was like a pace of less than 8 minutes per mile. A 10K is 6.2. So it was smooth though. It's smooth. No complaints there. Kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration to keep running and stuff like that. And I've been promoting these runs. Like Beyonce to come. I was going to Josh, but he ought to win Japan. I still might act. I don't know yet.
Ain't getting me running.
So I didn't. But yeah, so yeah, just it's a good feeling overall to do it and stuff. They can be a little costly and stuff. I wouldn't recommend doing a whole lot of them and stuff like that. But I bought these running shoes and all that type of stuff. So I'm like, shoot, I'm finna put these mugs to use. And apparently running shoes got an odometer on them.
Yes, they do. You got it.
They like these shoes
like
good
300 miles. 300 miles.
Yeah, like it's telling me like performance shoes. They usually between like 200 to 300 miles they use before they need replacement. I was like, man, yeah, right, bro. These shoes don't run. They can't run no more. I'm like, bro, I'm not. That's not that much time. That's not that much. Like if you think about it,
that's not at all. Like if you do a mile, if you do the 100-mile challenge, and you do like the 1 mile 100 for 100 days or something like that, that's like half the. It's like most of your time now. It's like I guess it is compared. Like if you're pacing yourself. But if you're like an actual runner, you run daily, you do like 2 miles, 3 miles a day, you killing that. That's like you're gonna be changing shoes every other quarter, and it's kind of like
Yeah,
that's a lot.
exactly. And them shoes ain't cheap. They like 200.
Yeah.
So like 150 to 200. So
Yeah, I guess
um
it's all relative based off what you like. If you enjoy that, I think that's cheaper than playing like buying video games all the time. If you just enjoy running, it's probably a cheaper cost to that, you know. So it's all
yeah,
relative, I suppose. But
I mean,
if you
you shouldn't be hitting that much though if you think about it, because it's not good for your joints to be running that much anyway. So
true,
um,
true,
I
true.
mean, I guess if you're running on asphalt and stuff like that or cement, it's probably more worse than like if you know running on like a track or indoor
Mm-hmm.
on a treadmill, stuff like that. Um, but
Okay.
other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. Playing a lot of Overwatch. I was actually trying to play the Call of Duty beta this week too, but I forgot and I was ended up playing Overwatch again. So I hopped back on multiverses just a tad bit, but um I don't know, man. That game just be you can't take that game serious because people tactics being are so trash, bro. You just feel like, bro, this game is not made for high level like battles. Like it's almost like it just get cheesy. Like it ain't a respectable. I ain't gonna say respectable because that's kind of like downgrade. It's not as in depth fighting mechanics and real fleshed out like like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, like the true fighting games. That game just kind of like, yeah, man, we here like the CC or Cyber Connect 2, them Storm games. You like, man, good cookie cutter play, man. Like that's just how it works. So not to say the other games don't, but these games don't get fixed and reworked and stuff that much. So, but I don't want to keep the intro too long. Other than that, I'm gonna go to Columbia on Thursday morning, see how that is, and come back and talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Not on Tuesday.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's been like same for me. I haven't been doing much else outside of I booted up my Legion Go again. I'm still enjoying that, playing some Star Wars Outlaws, still enjoying some of the moment to moment action on there. Not getting too caught up in it being something that it's not. I think it's just a really cool Indiana Jones Uncharted-esque type of experience. If you don't like judge it against everything in its life, I understand that Ubisoft is a big company, but honestly, I feel like the cinematics and gameplay is a little bit above what they're normally used to. So I'm satisfied. I'm not saying that it's the best thing I ever played, but definitely satisfied with the moment-to-moment experience, the action, the voice acting, and animation. So I'm going to keep going, and hopefully I beat it because I wanted to get Warhammer, but I don't want to play it until I actually finish the other stuff I started. So um, right now I think it's got like the humble bundle. It's got it for like 49. I was like, but then I was like, nah, I got other stuff. So I want to pick that up. So until I beat Star Wars, I ain't gonna pick up nothing else until I beat Star Wars. So now I gotta beat Star Wars Outlaws. But for a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, it was putting me to sleep. But it was simply due to the fact that I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing so early on, like going into bases and trying to sneak around for a long period of time, and it's just like exhausting. And they actually had talked about that too, where they talked about how they're trying to address the punishing early on gameplay of when you're trying to do high level stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing yet, and trying to get like treasure and stuff like that. So I was doing this high level thing for like 30 minutes, and it felt like it was high level because essentially when you get caught you cooked, and if you get cooked you start over at the beginning of the base. You don't start in checkpoints. So it's difficult to kind of have fun and explore if you're being punished for doing so. So that is not a good loop, and I think that's why I was putting me to sleep, because I was like, bro, if I'm going to put my time and effort in something, it should be meaningful. So then I steered back towards the campaign until they fix that to make it more fun and enjoyable to explore. So it is a little bit of things that you want to think about, but overall I'm still having a good time. But yeah, Overwatch. I don't know why, but it's got us in a chokehold right now. I see how long it lasts. My skills definitely have improved. I'm playing a lot of different characters I normally don't play, and it's just fun. It's just enjoyable to get some matches in with y'all and have a good time. I think that we definitely need to find. I think when I say that we mess up the stuff that we got going, that's good. So I'm gonna shut up. But as long as we continue to keep playing games that we all find enjoyable, I think that's cool. I really do want to make sure we keep a game in rotation that we have fun with together. But yeah, let's move into some of these topics because that intro was a little too long. But we want to talk about some cool things, or not cool, some interesting stuff. I wouldn't want to call it cool. I'm going to start with the PS5 Pro because it's the most biggest news this week, and it's like the most informative, I would say. It informed me of a lot of where the market is and what Sony think they are in regards to everything. But before I start spewing my gospel and talking too much, I want to kind of pass to y'all to kind of get y'all unfiltered opinions and thoughts around PS5 Pro, and whether or not it's something that you're going to pick up, and at least give me one pro and con of it if you can think of a pro, because I want to make sure this is a well-rounded debate in regards to this PS5 Pro.
That's the Pro.
That's the Pro.
It's the Pro.
It's the Pro. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I'm gonna pass it to my Steam. I'm gonna pass it to the Steam panel. So whoever wants to take it away, I guess. Again, give me your thoughts on the PS5 Pro.
So I just go real quick. PS5 Pro, like we said, one pro about the PS5 Pro is it's a Pro now. So like, you know what I'm saying? Nah,
Pro.
But I just say like I guess like the pro of it is, I mean, if somebody want a PS5 Pro, I don't know all the like the specs and everything. I just kind of read a couple of headlines. I looked into a few things. I don't look, like I said, all the specs, but it's supposed to run better. I mean, that's what people want it for. It's supposed to run better.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my PS5 runs well. I think a lot of games I play on there, a lot of people transition to the free-to-play games and stuff like that. Those games don't usually take a lot to run. I feel like most of them run pretty good. I mean, those are big selling games, or they make a lot of money, I should say. And then again, I'm not, Deontay got the Sharingan when it come to understanding everything with the TV and knowing all the specifics and things like that. I'm just Joe Blow when it comes to it. Maybe just a tad bit better than the regular person who can play on the 720. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't up there yet. So me prefacing all that is what I'm saying. I was looking at some people talking about like on forums and stuff, and they was talking about like, well, the PS5 runs like trash because it can't run fidelity at a stable at 60 FPS. Don't know what that is. I know it's 60 FPS. Don't know what fidelity is or whatever. So if it can do that, I guess that's a pro, and that's just me thinking outside of my perspective. What might cater to certain groups and stuff like that. But the cons is, I mean, I can go on a list of cons, but the biggest thing is the price tag on it. I mean, $700 for like I'm not going to say a minor or significant upgrade because I can't quantify it because I haven't looked at the specs or nor how the games are going to be optimized for it. But $700 price tag is a hard ask, especially when it doesn't have a disk drive with it. It's just kind of bonkers to me. I mean, like, what about the people who already have like games like disc versions and stuff like that? Now you telling me they got to go buy something a la carte in order to fully utilize the PS5 Pro? That right there is just kind of, they could at least offer two versions, but again, I know this probably is easier to, make one version and stuff. Obviously, digital games, it will probably help them promote their PlayStation Plus subscription and get you the game, you know what I'm saying, get the free games and stuff similar to like the Gamepass and stuff. Obviously, it ain't better than Gamepass, but I just feel like it's pushing more of that digital market and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, just taking into consideration all those sorts of things, I think it's a hard ask. And I know you didn't ask my bottom line or review or anything. I just gave like a pro and a con with it. So I tried to really give a pro for it. The con, I mean, I could say a couple other things too, but that price tag and not having a disk drive is probably like the biggest cons that I've like noticed, and it's gonna be for a small market of people because one, people not gonna be able to afford it, and then two, or I say justify it, and two, people who that thinks their PS5 runs good. Like, remember, people still playing PS4s out here, bro. Like, and they
Yep.
fine with it. Like,
Still
so
fine with
people
it.
playing still fine with it. So people playing PS5s like, oh, I just got PS5. Woo, woo, woo. Mind you, we just got out the shortage probably about a year or two ago. It's not. It just doesn't make that much sense to buy it unless you like. I need my PS5 to run everything perfect. Like, I have to do that. So, that's all I'm gonna say though.
Yeah. Okay. Um. What about you, Josh? What you got for me?
Yeah. So I'll start with the positive, I guess, which is it's good for Sony as a company to offer a different SKU for customers who have different needs. Like there are people who would prefer to have a stronger device that can do more, and are willing to pay for it, even if the jump is small compared to the price or whatever.
Mhm.
They'd be happy to pay for it because they want to constantly reach higher and higher fidelity or whatever. Um, Personally, I don't think I don't think for a lot of reasons that this is the device that Sony should have made or focused the time and effort on, because when we got the PS4 Pro and the refresh for the Xbox, that was late in a very long generation, and we had kind of like reached a lot of the caps of what those consoles could do, and so having the refresh allowed more room for growth while they still worked on the next gen systems. Whereas like right now, I don't know if y'all feel like it, but I don't feel like the Xbox and the PS5 have reached their full potential. Like we can't put GTA 6 on this system, it's not going to run well. And like I don't know what they're fully doing with GTA 6, and sure, I'm sure there's some things that will have to be compromised to make it run at a decent frame rate on the system, but I think these systems are still good, especially since they were already expensive when they came out. So I don't really see the point of the half generation refresh when, I mean, maybe it's not even half, maybe we are at the end of generation, but I don't see the point of the refresh now when I feel like most of these games still could run better on the systems that they're on. Now, that being said, I know when Sony makes systems, they contact developers, they ask them what features you need, what frame rate targets or CPU targets we need to help you build your game, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, maybe developers really wanted to push 4K 60 with ray tracing, and that's what the PS5 Pro is promising. 4K resolution, 60 FPS, plus you have all the extra bells and whistles with ray tracing and stuff going on in your game. I think that on this front is cool. I wouldn't pay $700 for it on a console with no disk drive. I'm not personally in the market for it. I can do all that stuff on my PC.
Yep.
To be honest, I did pay a lot more for my PC, but it's also not just a gaming console. It can do more than that. So yeah, I don't see this as being a huge appeal to most people, because I think most people are happy with not how to put it. I think the PS5 is good enough for most people, and if for me, I had performance issues with some games that I played on PS5, but I feel like that's just the game. Like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth performance was not because of the system. uh, Square Enix just put in some bad upscaling and stuff to make the game run well. Now the PS5 Pro brute force fixes that. That's fine, I guess. But if the games are still poorly optimized, I don't see me spending money on that system.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think what a lot of what you said, and I really want to step back to that point of what what Jalen said about digital transformation as well. But I'm gonna give my insight and kind of speak to it. As he just stated, the console itself is $700 USD. PS5 Pro is $700 USD. If you want the digital optical disc drive, or sorry, the optical disc drive, you would need to spend another $80 USD before tax. 780 before tax just to get a PS5 Pro with a disc drive. And you still have to buy the stand separately. No stand comes with it. So that stand you got with your PS5 that helps it stand up vertically, you do not get that. You got to buy that separately. I think that's $30 or that could be 40. I don't know. So they are essentially providing, and I'm gonna tell you guys the benefits here, so that you can kind of reference this. You can get, and I guess keep this in mind as well. You can get an additional terabyte of storage for around $54 today. You are going to get 2 terabytes of SSD storage built into the console. So that is an upgrade from the PS5's 1 terabyte, which dwindles down to 800 gigs once you put the system on it. So keep that in mind as well. The big three, this is what I can't remember his last name, stated.
Mark Cerny.
Mark Cerny, yes. Upgraded GPU. The PS5 Pro would be upgraded to a GPU with a 67% more compute units than the current PS5 console and 28% faster memory. This overall enables like a 45% faster rendering for gameplay. So making gameplay just smoother, essentially. They are going to be getting advanced ray tracing. So one of the big three was the upgraded GPU. The next one is the advanced ray tracing. They've added a ray tracing component to their I guess and I want to make sure I'm reading that right. They didn't state where it's being added, but it's basically they've added more powerful ray tracing that provides more dynamic reflection and refraction of light. This allows for the rays to be passed at double and sometimes triple the speeds of the current PS5 console, basically better ray tracing. The AI-driven upscaling was really caught my eye because if they can match the value of a DLSS or something like that, where NVIDIA has a really strong and capable upscaler over AMD, that might be something that's like unique to them. But again, when they spoke to it, they said that this is based off a product or AMD software that is coming that has not hit the PC market yet. So it's still AMD. Anyways, the AI-driven upscaling. They're also introducing this PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It's an AI-driven upscaler that uses machine learning-based technology to provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail. Basically, it's upscaling a lower-end picture to a higher-end picture to produce a 4K image. That is probably the most unique thing about it to me. Honestly, I am very intrigued by upscaling technology right now, and I think that NVIDIA is leading the charge in that, and it does allow for more power out of your systems than what's normally capable. So I am intrigued on a Sony approach to that because I felt like they kind of started it all off with checkerboard rendering, and that's when we started seeing this big craze for like great upscalers versus using the normal TAA and things like that. So these unique upscalers started to hit the market hard after checkerboarding was viable, and somebody was able to show and produce an image that looked pretty clear. And I want to see Sony's approach to that again. So I think that is the 3 pillars. I'm not saying that they are worth the money because this is literally an uptick of the normal one was $499, so going to $700, that's a $200 difference. And you're losing stuff. You're losing the stand and you're losing the disk drive. So you still got to pay an extra, probably, I say $120 to get that back. So really, all in all, it's $320 more to get this system over the previous and still have the same functionality. So, I wanted to go over that. I wanted to give everybody. Go ahead.
One quick thing with the prices. That's US dollars, and of course, live in the US is always a privilege with
Yes.
we being the main market for most stuff. In Japan, that PS5 Pro is equivalent of $1,000.
Yeah, I know. I
Uh,
just went up in price, and everybody was trying to grab them. I remember hearing that the PS5 as well went up in price
yeah,
recently.
PS5 went up in price, and the controllers have gone up in price. And so, yeah, Japan, we're paying 30% more for the system made by the Japanese company.
That's insane. So again, this brings me to what I feel like is Sony's approach to all of this. They truly believe that the next venture for them is to match, and that's why I was trying to talk about the digital transformation. They're trying to match in a way that they're trying to match a platform that in a way that kind of helps them skew the market in a way that kind of helps them. I really don't, I'm trying to explain it, but it seems to me like they're creating SKUs for each tier of their business, and what they're trying to do at the same time is pretend as if they don't want this digital transformation to occur, because with this Pro, in my opinion, like Jalen stated, they don't really want you to go out and buy additional items to make it a digital or make it a non-digital experience. They want you to just have games that you are fundamentally playing on these upgraded systems throughout time. They don't want the console experience to be broken up anymore. At least they wanted to for a long time, but they no longer can't. So they now have to figure out a way to continue to serve everybody in a way that makes sense. I just think their approach is totally wrong because they're pushing themselves ever closer to the PC market. And as you push people to become more educated in the PC and the value that it brings, you push people out of your ecosystem. Their ecosystem has been very restrictive with these new components and this new optical drive opting out of that and having to purchase that on the side. This is just providing more restrictions than value. So what continues to happen here, at least from my eyes, is that as they continue to push the envelope on innovation and for gaming and how games run and the storytelling, they haven't figured out a way to push the value of their brand or scope of their brand. They can't do it. So they are now focusing in hard and heavy on the value of this technology that they're going to be implementing, like the ray tracing, like their super resolution, like like the fidelity of it, right? I think that's a losing battle because as they can tell and developers can tell, nobody cares about the increased fidelity of the games. They can harp and holler all they want, but most of the majority of your console players still, PlayStation subscribers, are still on the PS4. Like, that should tell you the people hooting and hollering the most are probably the minority. The majority of your console fans love a great deal and experience that they can enjoy with their systems. And I don't think that they really are grasping that the more they pull away from their PS4, the more of their base they're going to continue to start losing, and no one's going to be funneling in their new generation of value in the way that they hope that's going to happen. They hope that the PS5 is going to be mitigated for the people that want to jump in at a lower tier, and the PS5 Pro is going to be what people jump in at, that higher tier for them. But they don't realize that the PS5 itself is still sitting as the higher tier for their console base, period. Like, 4 years in, we're still hoping that you push the envelope further on this console, not that PS5 Pro. So it puts them in a conundrum. They can't continue to make games look better to sell consoles if they don't push fidelity, but they also can't keep leaving people behind that are essentially the mass of your player base. So what do you truly do? You really don't have much recourse here. You have to continue to innovate, and you have to continue to get people to buy into your ecosystem. And I think they're just going about it completely wrong. If they continue down this path, they're pretty much going to alienate a lot of their player base to the point where the experiences that they find the worthy are going to be locked behind a paywall versus the experience that they're getting on their shorter end, which is going to cause people to overleap on them to the point where everybody's going to be switching to PC. And maybe that's fine for them. Maybe that's rare. Maybe it's okay for their SKU for them not to have that box in the living room anymore. But to me, I feel like they're giving up a lot for a little bit. I'm probably going to buy it, but I'm only going to buy it simply due to the fact that I can, one, write it off, and two, I can sell this old one I don't use now. I don't really care enough to fight that battle with them to say this isn't worthy and you probably shouldn't have my money. I just feel like I'm indifferent because even if I wanted to buy a game from them at this point, I'm probably not going to buy it day one. Like Spider-Man 2, I'm probably going to buy that when it's $20. I'm fine with it being digital at that point. I'm fine with it being a net SKU for PlayStation. But I'm not going to buy it at $70. Never was, never will. And I'm probably not going to buy much of their games. I really, really wanted to play Astrobot. I'm not buying that game until it's like $20 because I'm simply not in their ecosystem the way I used to be. But I can have the box that's ready to and go for those Spider-Man 2s when they're coming out with Spider-Man 4 or 3. Like, I guess I'm just comfortable with the technology more so than I am with the gaming. Because I don't feel like they will ever be able to continue to push the envelope without getting people to buy into their cycle. Like, this cycle that they have going right now, it's so kind of problematic. It's like, how do we introduce new features that make people want to buy our console when we can't introduce new features because the consoles that most people own are still on the PS4? Like, how do we continue to revolutionize and develop these games in this big, massive way without having a new console come out every 2 to 3 years? Like, what do we do? Do we shorten the window for that, or do we increase the mid-gen fidelity at some point? Like, that's where I'm seeing their choice lies, because it's a choice. It's not a requirement. They don't require more fidelity. People could just continue to complain about how they always do, but they still play Black Myth Wukong on that thing, even though it ran that poorly. Like, those are still going to happen where you're going to have outliers that still run like dog water, but people are still going to play them. So who is this really for? And I guess that's where I'm concerned, because I feel like they're putting out a product that doesn't have an audience. And where do they go from there? Like what do you it just seems like they keep doing the same thing over and over again with the PlayStation Portal, with the PS Vita. Like, at that time, it didn't have an audience. I felt like a handheld PlayStation would probably have an audience today. That was an extension of the PS5 in a much more way than the Portal. But then there is now this PS5 Pro that's supposed to be like, I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of proprietary things happening here, and there's not a lot of faith in the technology that's going to keep people coming back. So the digital transformation is interesting to me. I feel like it's signaling a lot to me. It's signaling a lot in regards to how they want their player base to shop. And it's just interesting. It's really interesting. I don't even think, like, if Xbox was to try to do that thing that they tried to do back in 2013, what was it 2013, with the whole DRM and everything they tried to do back then is kind of what Sony is literally doing with their lead. And I don't know. I just feel like they probably should have learned from that mistake before they continued on making the same things happen again. It's just too expensive, too niche, and it's just not like or niche, sorry, too niche, and it's not a real value add to anybody. I just don't see the value. I really don't. And that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big, big problem for them. And I don't know how to solve for that. But all I do know is that the biggest concern for me is the skew, this level of skew that they're doing, and this level of like how many people they have to entertain at this point, to the point where the PS4 is still prominent. It's still there. It's still significant in a lot of ways in regards to your player base. Am I tripping? Isn't Call of Duty launching on the PS4 as well? Or am I tweaking? It's still launched on the PS4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So big game.
PS4. My bad. I don't know actually.
I could have sworn the Call of Duty was. Let me see. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 PS4.
Well, yeah. Wikipedia says, yeah, it's still on last gen.
Yeah, you can still ship. You can still buy it on the PS4. It's a cross-gen bundle. So again, their significant player base is still on that old PS4, and they're still trying to push the envelope to get people to buy the PS5. Now they're bringing in the Pro to get the people that bought the Pro to upgrade to the PS to the upgrade from the PS5, and now they're trying to make them do it digitally so that when the people buy the PS5 Pro, they're not going in and they're not holding on to maybe their library of stuff, and maybe that is just the case. I really don't get it. I guess I don't want to harp on it too much. I just don't get the jump. I don't get the leap right now. And I think Xbox did do it the best, where they kind of forced everybody to play with that Series S, and their big console upgrade was the X, and then they're going to be coming out with their new one in a couple of years that I think they still have a lot to prove with the Series X. So I don't know, man. I do think that the highlight here is that Rebirth looks like it got an upgrade. If you want to play that soon, but I think Square Enix is done with PlayStation at this point. They really don't want to keep getting their sales in the crapper, trying to hang out with them guys for a year. GTA 6 is known to go to PC as well. So like I guess I'm trying to figure out, because there was no new game announcements. It was just old games being upgraded. I don't know how they thought this was going to go. I really don't. So yeah. I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit. I don't know. Let it breathe for a second. What is the true use case for Sony? I have no clue. Yeah, I don't know. Would you buy a PS4 Pro if would you buy a PS5 Pro if the I wouldn't buy a PS5 Pro for that. I just don't see the point. I guess I was trying to make up a situation where a scenario where it would make sense, but I wouldn't buy it for one game.
No, it don't make sense, bro. We bought PS4 Pros because when we was playing Call of Duty or any other game on our PS4, there's obviously the roll times was a huge issue. Roll times got entirely better. And then our PS4 sound like they was gonna explode. We just didn't know when. Like the PS5 not doing none of that stuff, bro. So I'm like, I mean, it ain't. And the price was $400. So I think at that time, PS4 is probably jumped up to what, 250, $300 or something like that. So
Yeah.
you could effectively, we sold our PS4s and stuff like that, made our money back, and probably had to pay like, I think I probably paid a $40 difference for a PS4 Pro. Like, so after selling my PS4, like, 4 and something like that. But it's, it's not a strong case. 700 is a lot. I ain't never seen a console cost more than 600. I think the PS3 cost us 600 at one point in time, but 700, that's a lot, man. Especially for the way games are now compared to what they were before. PC gaming wasn't as prevalent, cross platform stuff. Like, you have a lot of different avenues where you can access these games now, where you don't need a PS5 Pro or a PlayStation in general. So
What is your take on the digital component of it? Like, do you feel like they are setting up something in the future, or do you just think that they were really just being greedy and wanted to have people buy the optical drive on it separately?
I think it's a combination of both. Honestly, I think Nintendo and Sony are very like-minded when they come to doing things. And I think Sony is just at this point in time where they're kind of getting a little bit, I don't want to say arrogant because I ain't going to say that's the word. They're getting a little bit more traditional, and they're like, we're going to do things our way and y'all just going to like it. So, um,
Hmm.
the whole digital drive thingy, they're giving options, right? But now they're
Yeah.
selling the options a la carte. Nintendo do that all the time. Like, you don't get a regular controller with your Switch, you got to go buy one a la carte. So it's not anything that I'm surprised about, I guess. It's just that, and then like you said, the other aspect is they trying to set up the digital thing. I think that would make more than enough sense to do that. You don't got to worry about production costs and third party sellers and stuff like that when you're trying to export any of these games and put them on shelves and get them in people's houses. Now people can go to the market, get it right then and there, and if they can get locked into their little subscription to PlayStation Plus, whether it's Essentials or whatever tier they have, I mean, they have constant revenue going in, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it's probably harder to cancel that stuff than it is to get it started. People forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Now you got constant revenue coming in, and it just make more sense. People would be more apt to doing that than to go buy an $80 disk drive and really go crunch the numbers and stuff like that. A lot of people gonna do what they feel, what's on the TV right in front of them, as far as like the psychology of buying versus, hey, Deontay, you got to go to the store, bro. I got to go get this, and I'm pretty sure, if I don't know the disk drives, like if there's different variants depending on like which PS5 it worked for and stuff like that. But bottom line is, I can guarantee you, it's not going to be a whole bunch of those disk drives out there either.
Yeah. No, it is me trying to grasp at straws, honestly, to make this make sense. But the price point,
It's,
yeah,
I mean, we see it all the time with Apple because what Sony is doing, like you said, Deontay, is preparing the market for the change. And Xbox didn't do that with the Xbox One. They did it badly. They saw digital sales going up. They saw the benefit of the digital sales where they get all the revenue. They don't have to pay Best Buy to stock their stuff. If Jalen, Deontay, and Josh are buying Call of Duty at GameStop on sale, we not getting any revenue from that. So let's cut out the middleman. We put Call of Duty on sale on the Xbox Live Store. We get a bigger profit margin because we don't got to split it with so many different companies, and everything stays in our ecosystem. And so that is the benefit for the companies, and it obviously is for all those businesses. That's the best way to make more money because you're cutting your production costs overall for every game that comes out. So, but Xbox didn't prepare the market for it. Customers were not ready for that. They pushed back, and that hurt them big for the next two generations. Now, Sony is slowly preparing the market. Yes, we're putting out our best PlayStation console, the best way to play our games. Only way to do it is digital. And like Jalen said, people who, if you want to buy the optical disc drive, you can have it. But maybe we stop making those at some point, so you just got to buy them off the secondhand market. Because with those peripherals, those are not the main focus. We made 20 million PS5 Pros. We're not making 20 million disk drives. Because why would we stock the shelves with extra disk drives when the whole point is to get rid of the disk drive in the first place? So anyways, yeah, they're preparing the market and maybe the next generation or something. And there's already been rumors with it, with like Best Buy and Walmart not wanting to stock physical games anymore and stuff like that. So yeah, physical games are going to go away. Nobody wants to be the one to pull the trigger first, because the one that does it first is going to catch all the backlash. But the one that's going to come second is going to reap all the benefits. And so Sony is slowly doing that. They're trying to increase their player base to move digital, because realistically, I know y'all two buy physical games. I haven't bought a physical game in. I mean, I did buy I think Stellar Blade physical, but usually I don't buy physical games, and I don't really have value for the physical game. So if a lot of people like me in that situation, especially if you're on PC, everything you buy is digital. So, anyways, the companies want you to buy digital. The game creators want you to buy digital. The only people holding out are customers who haven't made the switch. Eventually, everybody's going to have to make the switch, because there are going to be no more physical media to support that. But yeah, main thing is Sony's preparing the market. But they're not going to pull the trigger first. So again, next gen, if Xbox has a next gen console that has a disk drive, PlayStation for sure will have a disk drive, but maybe it's going to cost extra. Maybe it's a separate peripheral that you got to plug into your device. But as soon as Xbox doesn't have a disk drive, PlayStation is not going to have a disk drive either, and everybody's on the business side is going to be happy.
Yeah, I think that was the whole plan with the Xbox Series S this year, is that they wanted the cheaper alternative to be digital only, so that only that the one that is going to be used the most, at least they were hoping that way that was going to happen, versus like the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. That how that happened, they wanted the One S to outsell the Series X and be the digital only platform. They're earning all the money. Gamepass is the only thing that they use, and if they're buying games, they're buying it digitally because they don't have a choice. So there is like on both ends, like preparing us, but I think that Xbox's I just think that the Xbox approach right now was better than Sony's. I think Sony is trying to get their high end users to just the more vocal individuals to be frank. They want the more vocal individuals to be the leader of the digital age, whereas Microsoft is having the less vocal people that say, I just need something to play my games, to take the lead on that. I think it's smarter in that way. And I think that having a PS5 Pro option and maybe a only a disc only a discless PS5 out there in the wild makes a lot more sense to me, which drives my point home of who is this for, because it doesn't make a much sense. I feel as if they are trying to appease gamers that are smarter than what they are perceiving them to be. Like, if anybody is interested in digital fidelity and like high end graphics, they are not on just simply the only way to play their games is on a PlayStation. That's just not the case. So who is this for? That's my real question. I don't know. I really don't.
I think well, I agree. And I don't actually, have the answer, but I personally think the digital purchasers are the high-end users,
You think so?
because because the people who are interested into building like a multi-generation library and then having the game that I can go back to. I'm gonna go back and play Shadow of the Tomb Raider on the PS5 Pro and see how it runs at 120 FPS and stuff like that. Those are usually the people who are the high end customers. Whereas, like, if I have my cousin who wants to play Madden, he's gonna go to the store, he's gonna buy Madden, he's gonna put in disc, and then that's it. It's not him thinking about uh the version of the game. I'm gonna go to the store and buy the digital version on sale because he's already showing up day one to buy the game for physical.
Mm. I mean that you got a point there. I think PC gamers are a lot more, wait and see. They don't really care. And if you're if you're a PC player that never had a PS5 and you got a Pro now that can hit 60 FPS and have 4K fidelity, and you can go pick up all their games on sale digitally, maybe that is intriguing. And I think you just gave me a better perspective on what that market looks like, because that is true. That is what I just stated I was in regards to the PS5 Pro. Um, but I just feel like the loudest people are the people that are actually looking for the value of the PS5 Pro right now. And I think that mixture of folks have individuals that are seeking like a definitive answer to what the definitive PS5 Pro experience is going to be, and I don't think that this is the answer yet. So I don't know if it makes the most sense. I guess I'm thinking of it from a lot of different lenses, but what you kind of stated did give a better perspective on, like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because that is literally what I'm doing. If I'm buying Steam games, I'm keep buying and like upgrading my systems. The cheaper the games are, the more interested I might be in purchasing them. But the true value of the PS5 Pro and the PS5 and like the generations is FOMO and fear of missing out. And I don't think a lot of us have that fear of missing out. Like, even if I'm going to go out and buy these games now, it doesn't put me in their ecosystem the way they want me to be. They want me to buy those games full price day one, so I don't miss out on the best experience on how to play them. But but truly, I'm only more intrigued now in the hardware than I am in the games that you're going to be putting out on it, because I don't care. So if I feel like that too, how difficult would it be to to get someone that hasn't never been in that ecosystem to come in and start to participate at your day one sales that you want me to, because you obviously don't want me to catch me at the sale experience. You want me to catch me at the beginning of the experience. You want me to catch me when I'm actually fear of missing out on this experience, this great experience that you just put out day one. And you want that to feel like, like there's some oomph behind that, doing that, like buying it today. So again, I think it's just a little bit more savvy than most in regards to like what we're going to bide our time on, what we're going to waste our time on, and what we're going to actually put our money towards. And I just don't see it happening for a proprietary system anymore, where it doesn't have any freeform function, it doesn't cross over, it doesn't provide any um it doesn't have any cross play. Or, and maybe that is the case now, Josh. Maybe that is what I'm talking about, that digital transformation, where they're going to align themselves more with the PC, and they're going to align themselves to the ability where you buy one copy and you get two. Maybe that is their thing, and that would gladly make me feel more excited about the PS5 Pro, because now I have something that I can sit in my living room that can be attached to the PC games I'm playing, but also attached to this, and it'll allow me to kind of have that cross platform integration that I love about the Xbox. Because that is the reason why I'm still buying into the Xbox ecosystem. It's because Xbox owns Microsoft, and it's easy. But PlayStation don't got that. They are proprietary. They have walls up, and it's insane how much those walls are. I see their business model failing in the next 6 years. I don't see their business model thriving. So I just don't see how they get the savvy individual to think of this as a win. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I do feel your perspective though. I think that is has some merit. The high end user is someone that may decide to wait in on the PS5, maybe hop into the PS5 Pro, and pick up some games that they did not have time to play previously. But at the same time, Sony is putting all their games on PC, so I don't know, man. It's kind of like all over the place. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there because I don't think we got an answer, but I think it's a really good conversation to have, and I think it's a conversation that's going to be ongoing. Is who is this for? Because I really want to know, and maybe some more insight into like how people think and how people purchase might be helpful, but I don't think they read the room, just like with Concord. So we'll see. I do think a nugget for you guys, if they do end up doing what I think they might do, or at least what I think would be beneficial for them, is to get rid of the PS5 SKU altogether and just bring out the other model, and it'd be a discless one. And they have the peripheral on the side, so they basically only sell the discless periphery, the discless with the optical drive and the PS5 Pro. That could, like I said, boost their chances of getting people to buy in digitally and not have to go in stores anymore. So I do think that might be the case sooner rather than later, by the end of this console generation for sure. But it might be something that they decide to discontinue the original PS5. I think they already did, didn't they, Josh? They discontinue it?
I don't remember that, but yeah, at this point that's what would be making sense, to only push the digital version. Oh, we got a black version of the PS5, digital only with more storage. Same thing that Xbox has been doing. Every re-release of the Series S and X have been digital with more storage or something like that.
Yep. So, very interesting time. Very unique experiences will be, very unique things will be happening over time. So, this will be developing. But I just love to talk about these business models and what I see happening, because man, just seems like it's not going to be a good time for Sony down the line. Everybody isn't like me, and everybody doesn't have the ability to write off a useless purchase. So I really don't see who it's for. But they do. So I want to get more details on that. It's not like a MetaQuest right, where they actually add value. I think that this is literally a check mark that they promised at the beginning of this console generation, 4K 60, and now they're saying that you gotta buy something else to get 4K 60. And I'm just like, huh? What did he say? It just doesn't make sense. So I'm done with it, but it doesn't make sense. Anywho, let's go back to some good news. Good news, people. We're talking good news now. I remember I mentioned Astrobot. Obviously, it's not a console seller, but it is definitely a fun, good time. So Astrobot did come out to some really raving reviews, and it just looked fun, When I was looking at the gameplay, and I was like, man, this just looks like I would have a really good time running around this quick 15 to 20 hour game and enjoy it, which I think we've been missing a lot lately. I think everybody's used to pushing fidelity, used to pushing graphics, used to pushing frames, that they don't realize that their game not fun no more. I think Astrobot understood the assignment and executed very well, and it could be game of the year, honestly. Like, that's how good
it's
people
PlayStation's
are
highest Metacritic game right now.
It really is. Like, you go from Concord to that in the same week. It just tells me how much of a chance people are taking.
Wasn't it revealed at the same time?
Yeah. Yep.
It was at that well, I know Concord was revealed earlier, but they showed it off last summer at the last State of Play. and that was the first time we seen Astrobot, and it was like,
and that was the talk of the
he
town then.
showed that Concord game, but did you see Astrobot?
Exactly. And it just tells me that they have lost so much. And it could be our fault. Like, this is what I want to kind of preference. Games go into development long before we ever see them. And when games go into development, they have to be green lit based off what is popular at that time. I can honestly say Overwatch and shooters were popular at the time Concord's conception, but it's not today. So there has to be a level of variety and rotation in your gameplay that makes it unique. So when you bomb, you can have something like this. And I think Sony has a very stark understanding of that. I just feel like now today, companies are taking significant chances on making an Astrobot clone that the consumer may not want in 6 to 5 years. It's unfortunate. It's like trends, like ain't nobody jerking no more, but people made jerk songs, but it was quick, it was fast. But now it's like it takes so long for these games to come out. Like, what do they do to combat the ever-changing perspective of a gamer? It's like so different.
I mean, I feel like it's business 101, which is diversify your portfolio.
Yes.
So that you're not stuck in a singular target market. And when that audience gets tired of that, you have nothing to fall back on. I'm not saying that people are tired of Last of Us or God of War, but Sony's biggest criticism for a longest time is that they're not diverse enough with their output. Their output is amazing what they put out, but you put out the same type of food. Like, you put out Italian food and people love Italian food, but if we're tired of Italian food, then you only know how to make that. And that wasn't the case with Sony in the past. Because I want to bring up two things: that when Concord bombed, the Sony president came out and said, right now we see a lack of variety in our IPs. We feel like we're missing variety that other companies or whatever have with our IPs. And I think their output has been missing variety, but they're not missing the IPs. Like, you have IPs that you can put out that don't cost $100 million to make. You can make a Sly Cooper game for the same budget as a Astrobot, as long as you're not trying to make Sly Cooper like you did with Ratchet and Clank. Like, Ratchet and Clank looked amazing. It did not need to look like that. It did not need to cost that much.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. Make a smaller game for cheaper that people like, and as long as you don't waste $100 million making it, you should make profit. Like, that's the whole thing about movies, as well. As like, yeah, there are $200 million Marvel movies that make $1 billion. Great. But if you could spend $2 million making a movie and you make 20 million off of that, the profit margin off that is amazing. And you just put out a couple of those a year. It doesn't matter if your Marvel movie bombs, because you made the money elsewhere. I mean, obviously you don't want the big thing to bomb, but you have smaller things that you lower risk things that you can put out. So yeah, that's, I think, the success story of Astrobot. The game probably had a budget of nothing, but it's fun. And if they could put out, I'm not even talking about an Astrobot sequel, just other games of that size, just put them out more regularly.
No, yeah, I think that is the key, and I think that was the big disappointing part of Hi-Fi Rush, because that was probably a cheaper game to be made, but it was very much so critically acclaimed, and for that to be like, not shelved forever. Luckily, somebody picked it up, but that was when the Xbox is like, man, we gonna let it go. So it does. It does, like I said, and I don't want to keep going back to it, but it just leads to the point of, literally having variety, as you stated, and why I I think Game Pass is a gift and a curse to the gaming community because it's like, yeah, you could probably get plenty of variety in that, and a lot of people can have choices and the type of differences that they want to have in gaming, and it's not that much of it's not scary because you have a group of individuals ready to come in and join your game and play it and have fun, but what gets scary about subscription service is cost saving and when profits are low and when you start to look at the bottom line and creativity kind of gets cut out the window and it's like what makes sense, what makes money. So um I do think Sony hit that hard when they had that run with the PS4 and they had a lot of games that were very big budget that just were just downright monsters when they came out. It was scary for the rest of the games. And the other games that they were trying to put money into probably weren't doing that great, like Knack. I think it was a few other games that I remember them putting out during that time frame. Little Big Planet obviously wasn't a great hit anymore. Just games that they were putting money into that probably weren't at the level of the other games, and they were seeing the difference in the value or at least the profit there. So
Yeah,
I think that
because
caused them to look at stuff differently.
yeah, and yes, I guess I can back that up and say like, yeah, every cheap game that you put out is not gonna be a huge success because that's the whole point. It didn't cost a whole lot of money to make, so if it's not a huge success, it's not a big deal. Like I don't think Little Big Planet. I think they had a platformer not too long ago.
Hmm.
I don't know if that did well at all, but again, if as long as you're not wasting a whole lot of money making it, that's okay. It's a gamble at the end of the day. All games put out are a gamble. You're hoping that they're super successful. The problem is that now budgets and costs are so high that if you fail, that will tank your company. Like, and I think that's the situation that needs to be avoided. Like, if the Astrobot company didn't make a lot of money off Astrobot, I hope that doesn't mean that 100 people are getting fired, right?
Yes.
So if we have smaller games coming out from Sony, then if those games do okay, then that's good, I think. Whereas if Last of Us 3 does okay, I think that's a problem because it needs to break records. I think that's the expectation.
Yeah. It is definitely a difference. So um I don't know. I don't know. I think that you're absolutely right. This is all on the company. This is something that they should be able to distinguish and put together very nicely, and not have so much of a problem showcasing their ability on both fronts. But honestly, I think that this is what that showcased for me. That yeah, they got development Astrobot in, but they also got the development of Concord. Concord wasn't a success, but this Astrobot was. There is choices when they make like Stellar Blade, where it was some success there. Choices that they make with Rebirth, or choices that they make with Rise of Ronin, and games like that. It tells me that yeah, they're still trying to diversify themselves, but I think this needs to come from the first party a lot better and more uh interesting than it has been as of late. I think right now to say that Xbox has a better handle on it right now is an understatement. I think that Xbox itself has become too big of a conglomerate to not have a significant amount of variety, to not be able to put out 4 games a year, to not be able to say that we're probably going to have more output than Sony ever could dream of due to the fact of what we just purchased, what our first party studios are doing, and the output that we can kind of create based off around that. And we're going to have smaller games trickled in there because we have Game Pass where we can structure it to the point where now people associate games that come out day one with Game Pass as if it's a first party. Like that is a great association to have, to be able to say that yeah, this is coming day one to Game Pass, but they associate it with Xbox as if it's something that they did and they didn't do it. Like that's a value in itself.
I'm a So that point I agree with how the Game Pass has changed their image. I would push back and say that Xbox doesn't have enough first party variety. They have enough
Mm,
studios now, but they don't utilize it the same way that Sony does. Again, like Halo is an IP that was very big and it costs a
mm,
lot of money to make. There's a whole lot that could be done in a cheaper way with Halo or other franchises. Like sometimes we see it like the Gears of War XCOM game, like that's a good idea. But
mm-hmm,
doing that a lot more where Xbox can have games come out faster. So Xbox is, I think, is doing better because they had to, like they've been on the back foot, so they got to catch up. I'd say I know y'all are not going to agree, but Nintendo is the good example of that, where they have cheap games that come out, cheaper budget games that come out regularly. Like the last 3D Mario game was like 6 years ago with Odyssey,
mm-hmm,
probably longer.
mm-hmm.
But they have a new Mario game every year, and they don't all cost the same budget to make. I know Nintendo is going to charge the same price for them, but on Nintendo side, they're not spending $100 million making a 3D Mario game that might bomb. They're putting out Mario games every year. Captain Toad Tracker, we made this for $5, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that, in a sense, is a better example of them trying to use their IPs in different budget sizes and being successful. Not every game Nintendo puts out is a big hit, but I think them trying the different size budgets is a good way to handle it.
I
Um,
don't know. I feel like I treat Xbox just as much as I treat Nintendo. Like they put out a lot of stuff that I don't genuinely care about. And maybe
mhm.
I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm thinking of it as in like uh perspective of what I enjoy versus what I don't. But I just feel like Xbox has put out plenty that I don't enjoy, and maybe that's just a general synopsis of their catalog in its entirety. Is that I just don't enjoy it, but that also lends to the my statement of variety, like in regard to what they put out and their output of what they put out. I feel like there's been a continuation of like now there's bombs like Redfall, and then there's things like Hellblade. Like there's games that may not fit everybody's needs, but there's games to be played. And I guess that's where I was kind of getting with what they were doing versus what like I think there's plenty of games that Xbox has that I don't care to play, just like Nintendo. Like I don't care to play
Yeah,
them, but they
I
have a ton of games that may have a variety of like experiences like Age of Mythology. I'm never gonna play that. I'm never gonna play games like uh I'm just not. It's just not gonna be in my wheelhouse, but they have those games in their roster where I would never see Sony doing something like that. It may not be for me, but it's not that I'm gonna ever get a lot of those variety pack from Sony. And I think that is maybe a little bit of both. Like, yeah, your games are you got a lot of variety, but they're poor in taste. I don't like them. And same thing with Nintendo. And then I'm looking at Sony. I'm like, most of the games I like when you put them out. You just ain't putting out nothing. So I think that was where I was coming from when I said variety, because there is plenty of things I overlook when it comes to Xbox, for sure.
yeah, I think that's the benefit of variety, that it doesn't have to appeal to everybody. Like I don't like Kirby games. I don't buy Kirby games,
Yeah,
but having the variety of Mario, Kirby, Zelda, and other stuff means that it doesn't. You don't have to make a game that appeals to everybody. That's
exactly.
kind of the problem. Is Sony has to make a game that appeals to everybody because you need 20 million sales to break even. But Nintendo doesn't need 20 million sales for Kirby to break even. And so if Kirby doesn't appeal to Jalen, Josh, or Deontay, it appeals to somebody else. That's the only market that they need to be successful in that sense. And Xbox has been doing better about that. But again, like Gears of War that they're going to come out with next year, or Fable, those games are intended to appeal to everybody. I think Xbox has to should try to get away from making games that have to appeal to everybody, because those are games have been harder and harder to break even on profit wise. I think that's just my point. Not again, not to say that Xbox or Nintendo are doing it perfectly, but I think we should pivot away from games that have to appeal to every single person on the planet.
Yeah, I think Psychonauts 2 was probably a good example of that, where it wasn't for me. It was definitely a clone of like a similar game of Ratchet and Clank, but I chose Ratchet and Clank over Psychonauts 2, even though they did have those types of games come out. You know, it's like when I think of their catalog, I still think of like, yeah, y'all got games. I just don't like them or I don't play them. And it's not bad. It's just that it's afforded. You get what I'm saying? It's afforded the ability to have a game like Psychonauts 2 come out, and nobody bats an eye in regards to the quality of it, but they also don't bat an eye to the fact that it's there. Like that experience is there for someone versus on PlayStation when they bomb, and when they don't have something hit, it's felt. And that's the problem, I guess, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but for me,
No, that makes sense because like if Concord was a third party came from a third party studio, like I
yeah,
would say 100% that studio is gone. Like everybody is from that studio is gone. It's a tax write off. The whole
yeah,
studio. Them being first party means that yeah, maybe they can bring it back some way. They can move those people over to Destiny or a different game or whatever. But the situation overall is too risky,
drastic. It's
and
too drastic. Yeah,
yeah.
it's way too drastic for anybody to have fun at their job. And I feel like that is what I'm missing on the Sony side versus on the Xbox side. I feel like they have the ability to I mean, it's granted it's just because they have a lot more money, but it's just that it feels as if when something happens, and I feel like I think I think it's all going to be get an uplift as they continue to integrate new technology into all these different companies, that all their games are going to get an uplift. So it is going to be able to start to compete for my attention than I used to give it, because there are all of these studios are going to have some form of integration by just button heads with all these other companies all the time, that to me maybe these other next games that come out, these other next wave of games, I don't just ignore them, but they are still variety pack. Like I'm not gonna play till dusk dawn or like it's just so much stuff that I saw come out of the camp of Xbox that was like first party or really heavily driven by them, that I was just like, not for me. And none of those companies I felt any problem when I said it's not for me, you know? And that's the difference. That's what I was trying to get at. I'm not saying that they got great games. That's the last thing I want to say about Xbox, because we all know that they have games, but you know, it is what it is. But I feel like they just don't have that impact. I feel like they have the ability to say, this small game here, we're going to give you a budget, we're going to make it happen, and if it fails, we ain't gonna matter about it. You're in Game Pass, you got it, buddy. And everybody else go back about their day. Versus Concord, 250 million on the drain. We got to pull you off the shelves. We got to give everybody refunds. We got to write this off. And it's kind of like, dang, really? What's the difference? So that's what I'm worried about. And I don't want that to continue to happen. And I don't want them to continue to make decisions based off of the minority and not the majority. Because regardless of what the minority is saying about Xbox, their system is working. And I haven't seen it fail yet. I've seen some, undertakings of Bethesda and being big and overselling themselves, which I still to this day believe that Bethesda got the best deal in the world. That they had to do some impact there. Obviously, all companies across the board had layoffs, but it wasn't to the point where I felt like their studios were feeling a crunch or feeling a problem, where every time I look over at these companies, I'm thinking of it that way. So even if they're doing good, it's just different. So, that's my thought. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much the state of what I want to say about Astrobot in these games, and how there's gonna be a big contrast between Concord and Astrobot. But let's move on to our next topic. And our next topic was going to be Game Pass. So Game Pass finally has launched their standard edition, and they kind of have broken it out based off of like the type of gamer you are or whatever, however they want to market it. But essentially, standard is less than what it used to be. Now it's not going to include those first day games. So, PC Game Pass. You want to play high quality games on your PC? PC Game Pass offers a multitude of benefits, including hundreds of great games and access to the new titles on day one. That includes Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones, access to EA Play, Riot Games benefits, League of Legends, and more. Members also enjoy a discount of 20% on many games. If you're a PC only player, then PC Game Pass is designed for you. Game Pass Core is your main interest jumping in on your Xbox console and challenging your friends to online gaming and teaming up and taking down the final boss? Game Pass Core is your main menu. For online console multiplayer for a low monthly price, play with other players, get a members deals of up to 50% off on select titles, and enjoy a select catalog of over 25 high-quality games and Game Pass library, including Grounded, Among Us, Halo, and Gears 5s and more. I don't know about that. That's a high quality, but it's some games. Game Pass Standard. Are you looking to level up your Xbox game console experience at a great value? Then Game Pass Standard may be right for you. In addition to all the benefits you receive in the Game Pass Core, including online console multiplayer and member discounts, you get access to hundreds of high-quality games in the Game Pass library, legendary series like Halo, Age of Empires, Forza, Horizon 5, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. They're all ready for you to play. Dive in and discover your next favorite game today. And then Game Pass Ultimate has not changed outside of the price. You do get Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You get the PC stuff, which is still the best one in gaming for me. PC price is $11.99 USD. Core is $10 USD. Standard is $14.99 USD. And then Ultimate is $20 a month USD. But again, Ultimate includes the PC and the day one Game Pass for a console. So it's still the best value, but it is pretty expensive. I know we talked about this before, but I guess I wanted to get your perspective one more time. Does this change your the value proposition of Game Pass for y'all, or is this still probably one of the better options? Or I think your rebuttal, Jalen, might have been around how many games you purchase versus how many you're actually going to be playing on this subscription. But give it to me straight. Pass it over to my esteemed panel. Does this change the optics of Game Pass for you guys?
I mean, as somebody who got Game Pass when it was cheaper and stuff, I mean, it do to some capacity, but I mean, I just have to weigh things out for me. It don't change huge optics for me. Yeah, so it didn't change too much for me. I still feel like you get like a decent value for it. It's better than PlayStation Plus still. So
facts. Josh?
For me, no. Because since I don't have a console anymore, the Game Pass PC version is the best value for me. But also since I am on PC, I have like 200 Steam games and stuff, so I'm not necessarily checking for every release on Game Pass. So it's a valuable service that I'm just gonna use when I need it instead of all the time. So I guess it is a difference in that sense where when I had the Xbox, it was something I'm using all the time because I also need it for online gameplay and stuff like that. So even if I'm not using Game Pass, I'm paying for it. But yeah, right now I still see the value in it. I'm just not gonna use it as often.
Yeah, Okay. It's crazy how much online gameplay has changed. Like the fact that they still charge people that buy games for online access, but people that don't buy games for online access don't get charged is insane. So if I buy your $60 Halo, well, nope, never mind, because I got a free version. I don't even know what game still considered like a part of that. What, Back for Blood? If I buy Back for
Forza?
Blood, I want to buy it, and my friend buy it, I gotta pay for online. But if I
Yeah, well,
buy,
yeah, Forza.
oh, Forza, yeah, you're right, Forza as well. So, but I don't have to buy it when I just download this free game like Overwatch 2, or if I download this free game like Destiny, I don't have to pay for it, right? So I don't know. It seems very interesting how the scope of it all has changed to the point where I don't think I even own a game that I play with you guys that is cost at this point. Maybe Call of Duty. That's it. And I don't think we're gonna. That's like I said. That's a maybe. So it's interesting, but yeah, overall for me, it hasn't changed much. I still think that is a valuable ad. You're absolutely right, Josh. It may be something that I tend to go month to month with because I do might. I think I would like to add in other subscriptions that I enjoy from time to time to play games as different. But they do have access to EA Play as well, so it does cover something else for me. But games that I enjoy and that I'm interested in, sometimes it's cheaper to kind of go with the subscription model than than the actual purchase. Um, and I think that is all a part of digital transformation. That's all a part of the whole idea of not owning your games anymore. And I think that it's leading in what I expect to happen over on the everybody's end. That some subscription base that you can apply to that or that you can sign up for that's going to provide you a curated list of games that maybe um everybody can start to enjoy. Like if I was to go and instead of picking up every game that I want to play on a PS5 Pro, going into their old previous subscription and like seeing the games that they have in there, I probably can have access to a bunch of different catalog without having to necessarily buy those games. And I can play them for the months that I want to, and then if I don't want to play them, and that's why and that's kind of where the Game Pass subscription is too, where now um, it's still the best gaming subscription out there, but it is getting to the point now where there is some competition. There is ability to pick and choose, and that price point now does fall out of a guaranteed to a potential. It does change the optics for me. I think, but I was probably the one that was the most out of Josh, the most embedded in it, and like was like, oh yeah, this is a given. This is easy. I don't have to think about this. This is a given. But now it does change it to a more, uh, I can play the games that I want to play. Like I definitely will subscribe for it during the Indiana Jones series. But then that's where you got to get people to that variety and people that want to continue to own your subscription throughout the months. And it's now you're fighting for that subscription sign up versus the actual purchase of the video game. So it is a little bit different. The optics are different, and I think that overall we will start to see this get a little bit more competitive. I think that at this price point, just based off of that, it makes Sony's look a little bit better. Just because of the price hike. And it's not even that they did anything different. It's simply because now they're starting to align. They're starting to see like, okay, if Sony was to start putting their games in there, they would probably put them under, but at least they have an uptick in subscriptions. But it depends on how we look at it, what we think is the best solution, and what they kind of go forward with. So yeah, it's definitely changed the optics. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to round that up with anything else that y'all want to add to the Game Pass subscriptions changing.
Nope.
Okay. real quick, iPhone 16 has come out, and well, it's not come out. It's like I think it's slated for September or something, or probably next week. And I think the biggest thing that came out of there that I enjoyed a lot was the ability to detect sleep apnea with the watch, and the ability to have like some type of use case for hearing aids with the AirPods. Like those were the two cool things that I thought, and they were both medical. I always feel like it's something we wear enough technology now that it should start to be able to monitor our health in a significant way. So whenever they do that type of stuff, I really enjoy it. I think it's transformative. I think that a lot of people are starting to take their health serious, and I think that those types of signals and uh, innovations kind of come across the board and helps us live longer lives. So I always appreciate that stuff. I always think that stuff is valuable. Accessibility is always something that's really cool when I see companies push it. But yeah, outside of that, I really didn't care about anything else. The AI stuff was okay. I didn't really find anything too valuable. I think a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, because it's still in that proprietary shell, I just don't care for. Like, I think that it's amazing what they were able to do with their CPUs in regards to like editing and rendering and production type stuff, but I just don't care for it because it does nothing else for me. It's a one show pony, and I think that until they start to truly put their stamp on the gaming industry or like anything else that I might be even remotely interested in, I just don't see myself calling it the jack of all trades and just being a must buy. I always think that it has a true value for the people that have a use case for it. And I think that a PC has never been that case for me. I think it's like it doesn't matter who has a use case for it because everybody got a use case for a PC. Everybody doesn't have a use case for Mac, and I disagree with anybody that ever says they do or an iPhone because I just disagree. Just that's not a use case there, not a general overarching use case that everybody needs. It's just not the case. So I do still think that they overpriced. I do still think that they are underclocked, and I do still think that they don't have the value there yet. But I've never thought that they were. So I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna pass it to y'all real quick and see if y'all have anything remotely or not interesting, remotely good or valuable to add to this conversation around iPhone. I know y'all are the users, but I don't even think y'all like them. Y'all just use them. What do y'all got?
You ready to pre-order, Jalen? I know you always getting the newest phone.
Nah, I thought about it, but I was just like, nah. I ain't got AT&T next. I can't get a new phone.
AT&T next. Oh my goodness! Is that the same thing as T-Mobile jump? I think so.
Probably some, yeah.
Yeah, so as far as the event, I don't have much to say about the event because I'm not in the market for a new device, and I think that is the appeal of the Apple event is for two people: enthusiasts who want to see the newest stuff, or people who are looking to upgrade something. I have the one positive thing I can say about all the Apple devices that I bought is that they've been really good the year that I bought them, and 6 years later, they're still very good. So I have no reason to buy a new one. Because my iPad Pro is the first generation iPad Pro, and I'm not buying a new one. Same thing with my MacBook Pro, 6 years old, still works perfectly fine. I edit in hour-long videos on there versus my PC, and it's still like just the moment to moment performance of using it is still better on the Mac.
Yes.
So yeah, I have no reason to upgrade. And I just got a new phone like a month ago. because it was on sale. And so like, yeah, even looking at the iPhone 16, it's not, there are new features, but there's nothing to want me to get that versus the phone that I have now, which is, I like using it. I play games on it. They run at the best settings available. It's got really good battery, good camera. So yeah, nothing for me to ever upgrade on. Only thing that I saw that I'm happy about is that the new headphones finally have the USB-C jack.
Yeah.
So if I ever need to replace my headphones, I can finally get rid of the last device that was using a lightning cable. So yeah, it I didn't see anything bad, but yeah, I didn't see anything exciting. I don't care about AI features in the phone. I personally would never pay for a phone just for those features.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need the phone to have a quick chat BT function. I guess it's better that Siri is going to be smarter, but again, I don't I don't see the point of paying more money for Siri when Siri still is not ever going to be used in my house. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Great points, guys, and I'm glad it well stated. Well stated. I feel the same
Yeah,
way
I
about
mean
Google, but it's I just feel like they're both fighting for interest and things that I'm not interested in. And I find value in the fact that um, that they keep trying to one up each other because that is the best way to kind of continue to get like really great devices. But at the end of the day, the things that they are now focusing on really add no value to my day to day life. And the only reason I am upgrading to the newest phone is because Google does significant trade in value. Like they will give you $700 for a $900 phone. Like why wouldn't I? You know, I just don't.
Mhm.
That's the only reason that I ever kind of decide to upgrade with Google is because I know that they're going to give me the highest price they can possibly can on my old phone, and they're always going to give me some type of store credit or something in value. Like last time they gave me 2 years of additional storage for free, or this time they're giving $200 store credit. So I just bought my new Pixel Buds with the free money that they gave me. So it's like genuinely, yeah, you just give a really significant deal, and that's the only reason I'm gonna pick it up. But if they weren't doing that, there would be no point either. So I just I love the competition, but it's now becoming mute to the point where it's insignificant the differences in these phones are. It's like this, it's really not that much of a difference. I just don't like proprietary technology. I don't like the fact that some things are locked behind an experience because you have a same similar device. I'd hate that. So because I hate that, I always just go with the Google phone. So yeah, that's it. It's not that much big of a deal. If iPhone ever opened up the floodgates, but which they never will, but if they ever did that, I could entertain getting an iPhone. But at the same time, it's just what's the point? They both do the same thing, you know. So I don't know. Anywho, that's the iPhone. Last topic: Warhammer. Another fun game, man. Let's talk about fun. That's all I want to talk about. I want to talk about fun games, man. Warhammer Space Marine 2 is doing very well. I think it had like 256,000 concurrent players on a thing. Like it's PvE, PvP, and campaign. So it is single player PvE where you play with other players, and then it's PvP. So there is 3 components to the game, but overall, people are buying into a single player experience because of the fun that they're having and the enjoyment that they're getting out of said game. Like no one had the ability to showcase what the PvE was going or PvP was going to look like because you didn't have access during those reviews. So really, they were buying it based off of what they were seeing, and what they were seeing was mostly the campaign. So, is this one of those situations? Because this is basically like a small Destiny where you got PvE, PvP, and PV and campaign, and where you do like sort of semi strikes, raids, things like that with players. Then you got the PvP where you could take and they're all separate, by the way. You don't get to take what you earn in a PvE and take it into PvP. You have to earn whatever you have in PvP and PvP and keep upgrading from there. Same thing with PvE and same thing with the campaign. So they separate it for a reason. I think that's for balancing purposes. But the synopsis is, man, it's just a fun game. Now I know me and you, I think, and Jalen tried either Vermintide or we tried the Dark Tide. I don't remember, but I thought we tried to play one together. Did we not?
I only played Vermintide.
Okay, Vermintide too. I think that's the one we played and we was in like a grass area. I think Dark Tide we never tried.
Yeah.
But what was your experience been with Warhammer games over the years, or have you ever even experienced the Warhammer game through fully?
So no, I have no experience with Warhammer because Warhammer has always been the number one nerdiest IP series. Like, no, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it is actually the nerdiest one because, like, if you like, there's GameStop, and then maybe in that same plaza, there's like a toy or like figure store where maybe you can pick up a Gundam or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, they'll have like 10 Gundam in the store that has some trains, and then they'll have 10,000 Warhammer figures because that's the thing. You go in there, you buy the figures, you paint them, and then you play them on like a board game because it's a series that's built on physical board game media. Now they finally have gotten the money and the developers to start making their games in AAA quality in the video game space. So as far as video games, it's surprising that Vermintide was actually a fun Left 4 Dead clone because it's a Left 4 Dead clone. So you playing with your friends, going out, trying to survive. That's fun on its own. But they're bringing the Warhammer IP and design to it. So you see the monsters from the IP that you're used to, or that people are like or have a lot of lore, and then they have the different classes and abilities. So yeah, Vermintide was very fun. Picking a mage and you can throw fireballs and stuff like that, and they have different builds that make the same like horde based experience more engaging because you can grow and have different variety of experiences every time you play. So yeah, I like Vermintide. It's just I was never gonna play that type of game by myself. That it only has value for me when I'm playing with a friend, and we unfortunately never went back to it. But it was very fun. I thought about getting the second game when it came out, and I saw it on sale. But if we ever have like a free time or something like that, and are looking for someone to play, I was thinking about picking up that. And so now that
I thought it was on Gamepass.
the first one was on Game Pass. That's when we played it. But they came out with the second one, I think, pretty recently that we didn't get, I think.
Gotcha.
Anyways, but it also got a bunch of expansions and characters and stuff like that. So anyways, the game kept growing and it was still pretty good. Space Marine 2 looks good. I unfortunately, I don't know anything about Warhammer or the characters or the factions, but the gameplay looks pretty fun, sort of like a Gears of War-esque environment. But you also have a bunch of melee abilities to it, a bunch of verticality. Like you got a rocket, like a jetpack, so you jump up and then smash down on people like a Titan does and stuff like that. So it looks very fun. For me, honestly, the appeal was the co-op, I guess, or playing with friends again, because I'm sure the campaign might be fun, but I don't know anything about the world or the story. So it's an interest, but I'm not super into it. But if I can play through this environment with my friends, kind of like we did with Helldivers, and it also has a story to it, then yeah, I would enjoy it.
Yeah. Campaign wise, I think that it's like you play the campaign. PvE is like how they tie it in together is like portions of where you send people off during the campaign that they have to go do other things that you don't see, but it's like a part of the campaign. So technically it's kind of like strikes. That's what I would think of it as. It's like you have this campaign where you're doing stuff, but they send them off to missions that you don't see as you're playing through the campaign. But then you go to the PvE section with friends and play those missions that you sent people off to do. That's what I
Yeah.
heard in regards to that. So it is a cool way to tie it all
So it's
together.
Mass
Yeah.
Effect 3, Jalen.
Is it? Is that how it worked?
No, I mean a bunch of other. So I'm not downplaying Space Marine and all, but I was just saying I remember a bunch of games like doing the 360, like you playing as your main character, but yeah, the side characters we going on our own missions, and that's the multiplayer mode. And so yeah, I think Mass Effect was the similar idea where you're saving the world, but I need somebody to go here and go to this research base, and that was the whole idea of the multiplayer. But it's not the same thing. It was just funny to make that comparison.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, that's a and that's where I kind of was like, yeah, I want to play it, but I don't want to play it right now. I think I give it some time to I don't know fester because it actually has a season coming of like content where they have like a horde mode coming, a harder difficulty coming. They have some expansion story stuff coming. So it's like literally you buy the game, but you're getting this stuff too. And it's not like you got to buy a season pass for it. You just get the stuff. So I think it would be something to check out if we can get it on sale to play. Because I'm definitely going to play the campaign. Regardless of if y'all play the other portions or not, I'm going to play the campaign of it. It's just seeing it. It's getting that same word of mouth like Helldivers right now, where everybody's that's jumping in, playing with friends, they're really, really enjoying it, and they're getting their friends to come in and jump in and stuff like that. So it is getting that word of mouth right now that only kind of happens when you have an actual fun game. So be cool to see, and it does run pretty decently on the systems too. So it's not like it's a terrible experience on there either. So, but yeah, I was thinking of that, and I was thinking, man, just got a bunch of fun games right now. Bunch of fun games. But that's pretty much it. That's a lot of time that's been taken, but I'm glad we took it. I appreciate y'all listening. Anything before we get up out of here? Anything y'all want to add? Anything y'all want to say?
No. I'm be playing my free to play game still, but now that we on Overwatch, I'm gonna have to actually catch up and watch videos about how to get good at Overwatch again.
Yep.
But no, yeah, it's just it's good to have a game to play with friends again, at least.
Nah, it's been a minute, man. We ain't been playing nothing. That's just the skinny of it.
Man, we could have been playing Warframe, but
Man, ain't nobody playing that game, man.
Man, that game wants you to get what is this platinum or silver?
And that's where we mess up when we start trying to introduce too many things. I think we got to stay focused, and I think that's the problem. When we start introducing all this other stuff, and then that's when we're like, I don't want to play nothing no more. Like, dang, you don't want to play nothing. Yeah, we ain't got no time.
Y'all want to be winning. Y'all want to be struggling.
We're gonna see Stalker come in, and we just gonna die.
Oh my god. But yeah,
bro, Stalker used to be funny. Joe used to be searching for that nigga, man. And that nigga, he wired Stalker here. He just died. I'm like, you ain't even see that nigga, bro. He like, man, this game's stupid. I hate this. I didn't search for this nigga for 30 minutes, and he pop up on an intercom talking. I just die. I'm I'm like, bro, cut this game off, bro. This game ain't fleshed out. Obviously, it's better now. That was years and years ago, but that junk used to have me crying. Yeah, nigga. I'm like, bro, you can barely see this nigga, bro. Like, and you just die. Like, what you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm. Man. But yeah, it's definitely good times, and hopefully they continue. We get some other. Maybe we could try to do something, throw something else in the rotation. But right now I'm pretty good with Overwatch. So I want to thank y'all for listening. If y'all got to this part, you're the real OG. I appreciate you. Definitely is a blessing for you to hear me ramble and us ramble for 2 hours and still be here to enjoy the ending. So I thank you and I appreciate it. But we have more topics, more things to discuss next week. So we will see you then. Let us know if you want us to talk about something specific. You can always leave a comment because this does go up on my YouTube channel at BCD Universe. So leave a comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we will try to incorporate that next time. Until then, peace.